Hey everybody, welcome back to my tower. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Rune Factory 4. As many of you know, it was recently announced in a Nintendo Direct that a new incarnation of the game, Rune Factory 4 Special, is being released on Switch. In addition to that, we learned that the long-awaited Rune Factory 5 is in development. Now that may not have meant much to a lot of you, but to me, this was the moment I'd been waiting for. Rune Factory 4 is one of my all-time favorite games, and for the longest time, we had no guarantees that a 5th installment would be released. I'm not going to get into the whys of that situation for this video. I'd just like to share some of the reasons I personally love Rune Factory 4.
Rune Factory 4
is an RPG developed by Neverland. It was first released in North America on the 3DS on October 1st, 2013. Rune Factory 4 has many different aspects of gameplay, like farming, combat, crafting, and relationships. There's even a system in which you can enact orders as the prince or princess that upgrade and affect the world around you. Let's talk a little bit about the opening of the game. After a kick-butt anime music video intro, brief sword fight, and a little bit of idiocy, the game starts with you getting pooped out of the sky onto a dragon named RaPWNzel. She's in charge of the town of Selphia, and she's a bit standoffish at first, but you end up being allowed to shorten her name to Venti because you're an adorable scamp. And when she's out of earshot, I call her Venti Orange Mocha Frappuccino, but that's just between you and me. The sword fight gave you amnesia, which is pretty cliche, but the game is so cute I'd forgive it anything. The visuals are charming, the backgrounds have hand-drawn vibes, and the portraits are so sweet and expressive.
Aw, look at the little face.
This is gonna sound inconsistent because I record this clip after I record the other clips, and you'll see, Venti thinks that since you have amnesia, you're you fell from them there sky places. You're the prince or princess that they've been expecting, but you're not. You see, that's them there. Arthur's the one, and he's all like, no, I'm good. I got better things to do than run this here place. So I'm gonna leave that to you all, and yeah, peace out.
Now that you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, we're gonna talk about farming. Whoopsie! Poop! My pop filter fell off. Don't put this in the video, RaPWNzel. Okay, RaPWNzel. There are a lot of games that simulate farming, like Harvest Moon, Story of Seasons, and Stardew Valley. Objectively speaking, some of these games might even do a better job of this than Rune Factory 4, but in my opinion, none of them do it as adorably. Things like using your tools, throwing things, and even running are somehow made really fun. It probably helps that there's a skill for almost everything, even eating and bathing. Farming in and of itself takes a bit of skill. You need to monitor the soil quality and fertilize accordingly. You also need to be mindful of the seasons when planting your crops. That's pretty typical in a farming sim, but I think Rune Factory stands out in the types of crops you can grow. But really, half the fun is discovering what's even possible in the game. For instance, I was delighted to discover that you can grow crops outside of your farm. You do have to take care of that crop as normal, but having to go somewhere else to do that adds some nice variety to your in-game day. Plus, it encourages you to get out there and explore. Another way to while away your Rune Factory day, say that 5 times fast, is to go exploring in dungeons. While exploring a dungeon, you will engage in combat with monsters. There are 8 main weapon types for combat. I find them all pretty fun to use and would often switch them up depending on where I was in the game. Like, I'd use whatever strongest thing was the strongest thing at the time. You can also use magic, which comes in handy in and out of combat, because there are spells that damage your enemies, and there are spells that do things like teleport you back home, or greet your neighbors. You can also take the townspeople you befriend into dungeons, and use them as powerful allies. Speaking of disposable, indispensable friends, You can tame monsters, and they do a number of things, like work on your farm, help you in combat, give you a lift, bring about a new era of war and destruction. This is probably a good time to bring up crafting instruments of doom, because when isn't there a good time? But no, in all honesty, this game is so cute. You don't really even kill the monsters. Your super sharp death weapon is enchanted with a magic that just sends them back where they came from. This brings us into the next segment, which is about crafting these weapony non-weapons. One of the things I really like about crafting is that you don't have to have an item's recipe to craft it. I appreciate the freedom and flexibility. It's a lot of fun to experiment with different ingredients. But the recipes are very useful, and to learn recipes, you eat bread. Yeah, the transference of knowledge is accomplished by eating bread.
Perfectly logical.
In addition to weaponry, you can also make armor, medicine, and cook, which I lump under the crafting category because even though they each have their own skills to raise and require their own equipment, the process is largely the same. Rune Factory 4 handles relationships in a way that remains unrivaled in my heart. It's apparent that a lot of love was put into this part of the game. There's a lot of focus on the NPCs' lives, and it adds so much depth. Even the request box, the thing that doles out your tasks, has a personality. Her name is Eliza, by the way, and she's actually quite lovely. I was joking about the townspeople being disposable when I was talking about combat. Honestly, the citizens of Selphia are all developed to an extent that I actually care about what happens to them. That being said, though, some are more precious than others. So let's dive into the very complex, scientific, and technical world of OMG, look at all the pretty animal ladies and men! Rune Factory 4's dating mechanics are extremely charming. When you feel like settling down, you can choose from the town's eligible bachelors or bachelorettes. Each marriage candidate has their own introduction and love confession cutscene. Plus, the game is partially voice acted, and when I say partially, it's like a few words here and there. They nailed it.
Except for this. This just kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Okay, you might be feeling pretty overwhelmed having to choose between all these primo bays. So to cut down on any confusion for new players, I've created the Ultimate Bay ranking system.
Disclaimer. Ultimate Bay ranking system is in no way ultimate. It's just a list based on my opinion of who is the best, most dreamy hunky bae in the history of forever. We take no responsibility for injuries caused by cringing.
There are two categories for bachelors, Dillis and not Dillis. If you really want to split hairs and rank all the not Dillis, it goes like this.
First up, we have Dillis, who's S rank. Then we have Leon, who is also S rank. Then we have Vishnal, A rank, Arthur, B rank, and Doug, C rank. Then there's Keel, who's, he's there too.
But let's not leave out the lovely ladies. Oh no, how did this happen? I'm so sorry. Here, let me fix it.
Boop. That's better.
Now, I'm not part of any Rune Factory communities, so I don't know who I'm pissing off by loving Dillis so much. But regardless of whether or not my opinion is popular or unpopular, I'd love to know what your Rune Factory 4 Ultimate Bay ranking is, so please let me know in the comments. This game was a complete joy for me to play from beginning to end. Every time I turned it on, I was ecstatic, and I can't wait to live my life in Selphia again in Rune Factory 4 Special. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!